Death, Love and Robots is, in my opinion, one of the best new series on Netflix. It has it all: humor, stunning visuals, and compelling characters. And one of my favorite episodes is Beyond the Aquila Rift. Based on a short story by author Alastair Reynolds, it shows us a world of space travel, uncertain fate, and alien life. This particular story might be visually beautiful, but it's also bleak and heart-wrenching. But above all, the thing that made me so invested in it was the lack of information we're given. Not only do we get a very open ending, we are not sure of how anything truly happened either, or why. I have watched the episode a few times and I've come up with a few theories, but for that I'm going to enter into spoiler territory, so if you haven't watched Beyond the Aquila Rift just yet, I suggest you to do it before you continue watching this video. So, this is what we're told about the world in Beyond the Aquila Rift. Humans still live on Earth, but space travel is also very common. It's unclear if it's used for recreation purposes, but we are shown it is used for commerce. Our main characters, Tom, Susie and Ray, they all work for a nameless corporation, their duty to deliver cargo. We don't know what that cargo is, but we do know they are all experienced travelers that have done the deed many times before. Their main medium of transportation is their spaceship, the Blue Goose, but they're equally dependent in what they call search points, which seem to be some sort of portal or wormhole, and they're used to create jumps between one another, making space travel much more faster than it would be otherwise. It's unclear how many search points there are, and at first I believed them to be man-made, but maybe they were simply discovered and found safe enough to use on a regular basis. At the beginning of the story, we hear a few concerns about the journey, but our main character's safety is never questioned, not by themselves and not by the Archangel Dispatch. They just aren't afraid of getting lost in space, which tell us that the search points rarely fail, or at least not as often or as bad to deserve to be addressed. However, the alien that I'm still going to address as Greta tells Tom that he has had several lost souls under her care before, and that, I think, is key. She calls them souls and not humans, and that's because not only humans have ended where she is, but many other species as well, which means that other, practically unreachable, search points exist even in much further away galaxies or star systems, the distance making it impossible for all of them to be connected, except when some major event messes with them. One of my theories is that Greta ended up there by mistake too, and that even if she wasn't alone from the beginning, maybe she had a crew with her too. She is when she meets the Blue Goose's crew. She's lonely, and that's why even when she can't keep them under a deep sleep feeding them hallucinations, she doesn't. She has a need to let them know that she exists. Slowly, she tries to ease Tom into his reality, even when Greta knows she can't save him. She wants him to know. Maybe she's hopeful that someone, someday, will accept the truth and keep her company until they die. It is clear for Tom to state when he wakes up that he's famished and possibly already dying. The Blue Goose is wrecked, and it's impossible for it to keep Tom alive anymore, and I think that's how Susie and Ray died too, not because of the impact of a crash or anything of the sort, but because the ship simply couldn't sustain life anymore, and Tom's death is also inevitable. He's simply the last one left to die. So, Greta has two choices: feed her lost souls hallucinations until they die, or try and tell them the truth repeatedly until they accept it on their own passing away. I believe that in the first hallucination that we see, when Tom wakes Susie before Greta appears, she truly was making them both share a group hallucination, in the hopes that maybe it'll be easier for them to take the truth if they weren't alone. After a while though, we're unclear of how many times the crew or simply Tom have been through this process, probably a couple times already. Greta simply gives up on it, seeing that Susie wasn't so easy to convince. Then she decides to work on Tom alone. That's why on the second hallucination that we're shown, Greta greets Tom even before he gets the chance to leave his spot. Unlike last time, when he got time to realize that there has been a system error on his own, he even had the time to see the false maintenance ship before Greta even shows up. And even when we're shown that Ray and Susie died in their pods, it doesn't mean that they never left them. I'm not sure if Greta woke them at some point, but perhaps she did, and just like Tom, they wander a bit through their dead ship, and Greta simply put them back when they died as a form of respect. One thing that tells me that Greta has shown many hallucinations to Tom already is the state of the ship. It simply doesn't look broken, it looks like part of something else entirely. What looks like strings covered in fungus or rust are taking over the entirety of the ship, something that can happen quickly. It's also possible that that vision was part of the hallucination too, since Tom has no problem breathing in that space, which could mean he is in fact still in his spot. But maybe what we're shown at that moment is a more realistic portrayal of reality, but not entirely true. And whether if the search point our main characters came out of was a one-way door or not, it is true that even if they managed to come back, it wouldn't be their same world anymore. So maybe there's still the possibility that Greta simply doesn't want them to leave and refuses to let them finally and truly wake up, both because she can't go home herself and because if they left, she will remain alone. So she convinces herself that this is all about saving them from the shock and the heartbreak. Maybe their fate was to wander aimlessly until they died, or maybe Greta is keeping them from going back. The truth is that everyone they ever knew, they never got to see them again.